A Heavenly Vista, The Pilgrimage of Louis G. Gregory. The following short clip from a film over 100 years old is included to give you a feel for the time and place. If you'd like to watch the entire film, check the description box for a link.
Our pilgrimage through the Holy Land begins at Haifa, a picturesque port on the Mediterranean. Here we land to journey forth to holy places, whose names are revered throughout the world. We gaze down at Haifa from Mount Carmel, the traditional site of Elijah's sacrifice. Off the beaten road of travel, the ancient town of Nazareth lies secluded on the slopes of Galilee.
Haifa. In the afternoon we embarked on the Austrian Lloyd line, but a Mediterranean storm delayed us 24 hours in the harbor of Alexandria. Sailing on the 17th, the wind had subsided, but the sea was still rough, our passage to Port Said being full of discomfort. Reaching this port the next morning, we rested at the entrance of the Suez Canal for a few hours, and then were underway for Jaffa. Here we rested several hours during the landing of passengers and stores. Jaffa is the nearest port to Jerusalem, with which it is connected by railroad. We advanced northward, along the coast of Palestine and in full view of its picturesque mountain range. About dusk we reached the beautiful Bay of Haifa, and in the darkness, by the aid of a small boat, landed at Haifa, which lies at the foot of Mount Carmel. The night was passed at a small German hotel. The next morning Mirza Jalal and Mirza Hadi, two sons-in-law of Abdu'l-Baha, in company with Mirza Enyatullah, called. In the afternoon, a visit was made to the tomb of the Bab and the hospice, both on Mount Carmel, and near each other. At the holy tomb we met several other pilgrims. Removing our shoes in accordance with Oriental custom, we reverently entered the tomb, where prayers were chanted by one of the Persians. The tomb, halfway up the mountain side, is stately in proportions and has a commanding sight. Near it is the famous clump of cypress trees where Baha'u'llah used to sit. Looking across the Bay of Haifa, Akka is seen within its gloomy walls, while beyond this city Mount Hermon, with its snow-capped summit, mysterious and inaccessible, rises in the distance. Hence also may be seen the brook Kishon, where Elijah, the man of God, slew the false prophets of Baal. In the evening a Baha'i meeting was held at the home of Abdu'l-Baha. About 25 men were present and a child. As I entered with Enyatullah, they arose and greeted me most cordially. Among those present was the Baha'i philosopher and author of the School of the Prophets and Sacred Mysteries. In his early life he set out from Persia to find Baha'u'llah, enduring many hardships by the way. In later years he brought the body of the Bab from Persia to Haifa, surmounting many perils. Present also was Mirza Hadi and Mirza Jalal, sons-in-law of Abdu'l-Baha. Mirza Hassan Yazdi, who had spent 35 years in Akka. Haji Khan, former governor of Balak, who gave up everything for the cause, becoming the shepherd of Baha'u'llah. Abdul Rasul, born in Akka, whose father while carrying water was murdered by unbelievers. Abbas Kolai, who left all his possessions at Alexandretta, and now serves in the Holy Tomb. Abdul Shiz Yazdi, who ventured from Persia to serve the cause. D. Muhammad Ali, exiled during the days of Baha'u'llah. Mirza Abdul Hussain, son of the great writer. Mirza Mozuddin, son of Mirza Asadullah. Mirza Hussain, another exile. Mirza Ashar Hussain, named by Baha'u'llah, Gabiullah, a relative of the Bab. Mirza Hassan, in charge of the hospice, who was exiled from Adrianople with Baha'u'llah, and Mirza Enyatullah, who acted as interpreter. Mirza Asadullah asked questions, in answering which it became easy to obey the wish of Abdu'l-Baha that I should lecture at Haifa. I acknowledged the divine favor which had brought me to the holy presence and asked, "Who is worthy to stand before the king?" He replied, "It is good that your insight has become so clear that you can recognize the king." For many years past, even from the time of Moses, people have come to this mountain to see the Lord. You have attained to his meeting before reaching the mountain. What of the progress of the cause in America, and how does it affect racial conditions? It was shown how the spirit of unity was gaining ground in America. Prayers were chanted in Persian and read in English. April 21st. With Mr. Meekin as guide, a visit was made to the Carmelite monastery on Mount Carmel, where the Grotto of Elijah, and other interesting views were pointed out. In the afternoon, Mirza Asadullah gave lessons in presenting the message. In speaking to a skeptic, he said, "Call his attention to the different grades in the world of existence, and the way men are accustomed to look for perfection in each. The highest standard of excellence that can be found thus becomes an authority. So in the kingdom of man we look for the perfect man, and when found accept him as authority. To teach one who believes in God but rejects the manifestation, show how the bounties and perfections of God are reflected in the perfect mirror." The Feast of Ridvan. April 23rd. This day is the beginning of the Feast of Ridvan, commemorating the declaration by Baha'u'llah of his divine mission. At prayer in the morning, I was made conscious of the divine bounties. We were to join in the observance of the day by making the pilgrimage to the holy city, Akka, and the tomb of Baha'u'llah. A party was formed, consisting of Miss Matthew, Mirza Asadullah, Enyatullah, Messrs. Meekin and Gregory. As we started at about 9:30 in the morning, the clear spring atmosphere was lighted by a bright sunshine. We drove the distance to Akka, 9 miles around the beach. Just without the city gates the carriage stopped and Miss Matthew, in company with the Venerable Mirza Asadullah, waited, while the others, with Enyatullah for a guide, set out on foot for a brief visit to this ancient city, made glorious in this latter day by the fulfillment of prophecies. For in this most great prison lived and wrought Baha'u'llah, the blessed perfection, the most great manifestation of God, and Abdu'l-Baha, the servant of God and the center of the covenant of God. Passing successively through 2 gates, we soon found ourselves within the gloomy fortification. Entering a narrow street flanked by oriental bazaars, we saw the barracks where the illustrious prisoner and his followers were first confined when brought from Adrianople in 1868. Within a few yards is the home of the governor of Akka. Pressing forward we soon reached the limits of the city, bordering upon the sea. Here stands a tall building. This house was once occupied by Baha'u'llah. After a slight parley by Enyatullah, whose uncle is caretaker of the building, we passed through the court and climbed the old stone steps leading to the 2nd story. After waiting a short time we removed our shoes and our faces were anointed with a fragrant perfume. Then we entered the room of the manifestation and were shown the portraits of the Bab and of Baha'u'llah. These faces are wonderful in their sublimity and beauty. Here is seen the expression of gentleness, meekness, wisdom, light, love, majesty, power, holiness, in short, every attribute of God which adorns the world of existence. The Holy Tomb. Retracing our steps we soon joined our party, and, driving by green fields and fragrant gardens without the city, the desert that now blossoms as the rose, we entered the house adjoining the Holy Tomb. Here some time was spent in pleasant social communion, and in the court a most enjoyable luncheon was served. Near at hand and in full view is a house occupied by Nakazin, but these we did not see. After luncheon we visited the tomb, where lies the body of Baha'u'llah, the manifestation of God. We knew that we stood upon holy ground. The place is spiritual and its atmosphere is fragrant with many beautiful flowers. Our Persian friends chanted verses, and, according to his expressed wish, we remembered Abdu'l-Baha in our prayers. The friends in the east and west were not forgotten. Our earnest desire was for unity through the power of the greatest name. We next went to the garden of the Ridvan where many friends, some like us, pilgrims from distant lands, had gathered to observe the beginning of the feast. We were received with evidences of great affection. With the utmost simplicity Persian tea was served to the friends gathered around, and Mirza Munir Zain chanted. Afterwards we entered a small house in the garden, wherein a room occupied in times past by Baha'u'llah was pointed out. The entire garden, with its great mulberry trees, bushes laden with roses, rivulet and flowing fountain, has an ideal beauty. Among the people assembled were Christian, Muslim, and Zoroastrian friends now united and in great love through the power of God. This gathering was truly impressive and also representative of various parts of the world. Returning, we passed through the Garden of Paradise, adjoining. The next afternoon, after quiet and pleasant hours with the friends, I sailed for Egypt.